What this gospel says to me today is something I've known about myself for quite a while. If there's anything I'm proud of, it's my humility. If there's anything I'm proud of, it's my humility. All kidding aside, of course, today's gospel gives us a great example of false pride and true humility. When we examine the Pharisee of this parable, we have to ask ourselves, what did the Pharisee do exactly wrong in his prayer? He prayed while standing up in the temple, a normal religious practice. The prayer was not unusual. It was a prayer of thanksgiving, similar to the one that the rabbis were supposed to do prior to entering and leaving the temple. He was probably considered a good man, and he went to the synagogue and prayed, just like all of us out here are doing today, praying to God. However, although his prayer began with a thank you to God, every other pronoun is I. I thank you. I am not like the others. I fast. I pray. His whole prayer centered to himself and his accomplishments. In reality, his prayer is one of a kind of proud self of what he's accomplished, a self-aggrandizing. He actually was praying to himself rather than God. The Pharisee made himself important by putting other people down. His righteousness got in the way, and he became too judgmental of others. I think there are 2 points that I'm trying to emphasize in today's gospel. 1, are we too judgmental of others? And number 2, how can we be proud of the gifts and talents that God has given us without showing false pride? My first question to us today is, have we become too righteous and judgmental of others? Here are some examples that are pretty close to home. We've probably been judgmental when we see people, particularly at the 5 o'clock Saturday Mass, coming to Mass with T-shirts, shorts, and gym shoes. I've been guilty of this. I thought to myself, can't they get dressed up a little more than that? Don't they realize what they're doing coming to Mass? But what we don't know, because we may be too judgmental, they just came from a soccer game with their kids, and they wanted to take the whole family to Mass together, and they didn't have time to go home. Again, I've been guilty of that judgment. And when we've all been in the situation when we get upset with a crying child in church, and we think, why don't they at least go to the vestibule, or better yet, come to 2 separate Masses? Come separate Masses, and they don't have to bring the baby. But what we don't really fully realize is they want to come as a family, come together and worship together, to put together God's Eucharist to help them during the rest of the week. Like the Pharisee, do we sit in church and think we are better than others? Are we too judgmental? I imagine most of us would like to put ourselves in the position of the tax collector and beat our breast and say, oh, dear God, be merciful to me, a sinner. Lord, I am a very humble person. We would like to let our supposed humility show through, or as I joked in the beginning of the homily, if there's anything I'm proud of, it's my humility. And the second point of this homily is, it's paradoxical actually, and it sounds paradoxical, but we have to have pride in what we do and accomplish. For far too long, we have thought humility was putting ourselves down, pretending we were nobodies. Oh, little me. No, I'm not that good. This is not Christian humility. Personal negativity is not humility. It is a false humility. The gifts God has given us, we need to take pride in the gifts that God has given us, our talents, our abilities, and our skills, in the things we're able to do well, the gifts that God has given us. The gift may be a very high IQ, or the gift of being very athletic, or the gift of being joyfully dealing with others and encourage others. It may be an artistic gift. Maybe you're a great dancer, ballet, or the step dancer. Maybe you're a great piano player. You've got to be proud of what you accomplish. We have to take pride in doing our jobs and be justifiably proud of what we can accomplish. These are many, many gifts, large and small, that God has given to each and every one of us. and we can be proud of them if we use them correctly. However, what keeps this pride honest and grounded is the justifiable recognition that all of our gifts are from God. All of our gifts are from God. God gives them to us out of a sheer goodness. They are not the product of our work alone. We have done absolutely nothing to deserve them. So summing this up, a person can be justifiably proud of what they've accomplished if they are a truly humble person and always recognize the source of the gift that they have is from God. The first reading also dovetails pretty nicely with today's gospel, regarding the tax collector who is an outcast of the gospel. It's pretty clear throughout all the gospels that God has a special eye for the lost, the weakest, and the despised of the earth. Quoting a couple lines from that first reading, the Lord is the God of justice, who knows no favors, yet he hears the cry of the oppressed. He hears, the Lord is not deaf to the world or the wail of the orphan, nor to the widow's concern, or the widow when she pours out her problems. The one who serves God willingly is heard. End quote. Today's bulletin, incidentally, as you may know, gives just a great shout out to Sister Paul Ann and the work that she's done with the Sharing Committee. She set the bar pretty high for most of us in regards to taking care of the poor. So, in closing, the Lord is responsive to the cry of the poor, and we will be judged according to our relationship with the poor. We will be judged on our relationship with the outcast, the disenfranchised, and their need for justice when we come before the judgment seat of God. As I heard a wise old parish priest once say, if you are not poor, you better be a friend of the poor when the judgment day comes around.
Thank you for joining us for the celebration of the Mass today. It's a blessing that you are with us. Every broadcast of this liturgy goes out to hundreds of people and hundreds of people all over the world. It's been an enormous blessing. If you'd like to support this virtual ministry of OLPH, please go to our website. You can support this ministry by going to Give Central so that we can continue to broadcast the liturgy each and every week. Thank you for your support. Most of all, thank you for joining us today. God bless you. Greetings from OLPH.